Hi, it's me, Jay, and welcome back to the channel. I've been tinkering with computers on and off most of my adult life. In fact, even during my childhood. I've built computers for family, for friends, for co-workers. I've helped out when people have a problem. And during the off-season when I wasn't farming, I worked in a computer store. And over the years, I've tried to keep up with technology and what's going on in the PC world. The most common question I get asked is, my computer is running slow. What can I do to improve its performance? Especially in games. Well, there are several things you can do. And this all depends on the age of your computer. Assuming you're running an older computer, you can add a little bit more memory. Most games these days have an optimal performance of 16 gigs of RAM. The other thing you can check is to see if you're running a traditional hard drive or an SSD. If you're running a traditional hard drive, I strongly recommend you upgrade to an SSD, at least for Windows and the games you want the best performance out of. If you're not sure if you're running an SSD or not, the easiest thing to do, and this is assuming everybody is running Windows 10 or at least Windows 11, at least Windows 10 or even a Windows 11, is to open up your Windows Explorer by pressing the Windows key and the E button. Go to your PC and you'll see your C drive. Right click on it, go to Properties, and then go to Hardware. It should list whatever hard drives your computer has. So as you can see, my main hard drive is a Seagate Firecuda SSD. So I'm running an SSD as my main drive. My main programs boot off that. My second drive is a traditional hard disk, and that's what I use as a backup. That's what I use to store video files and things I'm not currently using, or where I put games that are running slower, that don't need the performance. Turn-based games, for example, that don't need to keep constantly generating a high frame rate. So if you're not running an SSD, I strongly recommend you install one or have a friend install one for you. If you go to the computer store and tell them you want to increase your computer performance for gaming, you need an SSD and you need more RAM. Well, I worked in the business. The next thing they're going to turn around and tell you is upgrade your video card. Well, in today's market, that's a very expensive proposition. If you haven't heard, there's a shortage of GPUs or graphical processing units. This has been going on for the last year. And a new graphics card will cost you probably a month's rent. And for the best of the best, 2 months' rent, depending on where you live. So for a decent boost in performance, add some memory. Definitely add an SSD if you don't have one. Make sure before you add one, you back up all your important files Again, you can have somebody do that for you if you don't know how to do it. Next, if you're upgrading your computer to an SSD, or you already have an SSD, but your computer's been running for a long time, like several years, the next thing I recommend you do is a fresh install of Windows. If your computer came with a backup CD or a backup USB drive, you can use that to restore your computer to its original settings. If you purchased your computer from somebody like Hewlett-Packard or Dell or one of those companies, their websites will often give you information on how to restore your computer to factory settings. If you're going the route of reinstalling Windows, make sure you're doing a Windows update. And if you don't know when the last time you did a Windows update is, make sure you do a Windows update. Hit the Windows key and in the search bar type in Windows Update. And it will bring up your Windows Update. So, my computer, I just checked it before I started this video, is up to date. Everything's good. Once everything is installed and you're up to the very latest version of Windows, put Windows Update on pause for 1 week. If you don't do that, Windows keeps checking all the time to see if there's an update. This takes up system resources. The second thing you should do is go to your advanced options and you want to change your active hours. So the next time Windows kicks in and checks for an update, it's going to check when your active hours are. So, depending on who you are, I would change that to, say, 8 a.m., depending on what time you get up, until, say, midnight. And hit OK. That way, between 8 a.m. and midnight, your computer is not going to look for updates or install anything. It'll do it when you're asleep. While you're in settings, you want to go to gaming mode, or see gaming and gaming mode, and you want to make sure gaming mode is turned on. This will improve performance of the computer while you're gaming, and Windows will turn off as many things as it can that are running in the background. So that should give you a couple of extra frames per second boost. Once that's done, just in case Windows didn't catch it, you want to make sure you're running the latest video drivers. Whether you're running an AMD or a GeForce card, or an NVIDIA/GeForce, or an Intel card. If you're not sure how to check that, you want to go, again, hit the Windows key and bring up the search and type in Device Manager. And you want to check display adapters. And it tells me I'm running an AMD video card. So that means I want to go to AMD.com. If you're running an NVIDIA card, you will go to NVIDIA.com. It tells you the model you have as well. In Device Manager. But if you're still not sure, if it just lists, let's say, a generic card, no, I don't want to take the survey, thank you. Both AMD and NVIDIA, I'm not sure about Intel, I'm assuming they do, have an auto detect. You can download and install this program, and it will figure out what version of drivers are currently installed, and it will recommend you upgrade to the latest drivers if you don't already have them. I've also updated my drivers, so when I check using my AMD software, it tells me I'm up to date. So I don't have to worry about that. As new games get released, drivers get updated, and video cards give out better performance. Next, you want to go to Task Manager. To do this again, search and bring up Task Manager. It'll tell you your performance and what's running. I'm using a little bit of extra memory, and you shouldn't do this if your computer doesn't have a lot of memory. On the second screen, I have quite a few tabs open because I was researching something. But you want to go across to Startup, and this will show you all the programs that are trying to run when you start Windows. And it'll tell you what impact it has on Windows. So I don't want Adobe Collaborative Synchronization on, so I'm going to hit Disable. I've already disabled Cortana. That's Microsoft version of Siri. I don't want that turned on. That's just Hewlett Packard's junk that comes with their printer software. I don't want my iTunes helper on. I will check for an update to iTunes when I want to. So you can turn all of these unnecessary programs off. The Realtek High Definition Audio Universal, I want that on because that controls my sound. OneDrive, I'm going to leave that enabled because I use that to back up a lot of programs or a lot of files. If you don't use OneDrive, turn it off. Disable it. Skype, I don't Skype, so I'm going to turn that off. Steam, that's a tricky one. It depends on whether your games are installed through Steam or if they're not. For Farming Simulator 22 as an example, I brought that directly from Giants. So I could turn off Steam, which I did, and I can just run that program and it won't start Steam. So that'll be one less program running in the background. Windows security notifications, I'm going to leave those on. But the rest, like the WinZip preloader, I've turned all those off. If you press this little icon down here, it says Show Hidden Icons. It'll tell you what's running in the background. So Windows security, blah, blah, blah. My AMD software for my drivers. Okay, so I have a bare minimum of stuff running in the background. If you open that, and there's a ton of stuff, we need to uninstall some programs. One of the biggest culprits for slow computer performance programs that come pre-bundled with a PC from somebody like Dell or Hewlett-Packard, they will often bundle a trial version of Microsoft Office, Norton Antivirus, and programs like that. You don't need to run Norton Antivirus or the other versions. Windows Defender will catch 90 to 95% of the viruses. And the ones it doesn't catch are the ones you probably get from surfing nefarious sites. You know, the sites your mom wouldn't approve of you visiting? Or if you do something silly like download a strange attachment from an email that somebody has sent you, or you're prompted to download and install a program when you're on one of those nefarious sites, don't do it. That will greatly reduce your chance of getting a virus. Now, if you want to know how to get rid of some of this software, again, go to your search and type in add or remove programs. And this will show you a list of programs you have installed. This is where you want to look for programs that you don't particularly need. I've left this one in here. I'm going to be uninstalling that one shortly. I don't need it. I don't need the Alienware command suite. Those came with the computer. Digital delivery, that can go. Support us. See all the stuff AMD or Dell bundled with this computer. And the only reason I got a Dell instead of building a computer myself, stupidly, was because they financed it and I didn't have cash on hand to build my own. So search through there. If you see stuff like, I'm not sure what Blackmagic Raw Components is, so just go ahead, right click on the three dots and hit uninstall, and it'll get rid of it. Bonjour, I don't need that one. Let's uninstall that. Yes, I do use a webcam sometimes, so I'm going to leave that. The main ones you're going to look for, like I said, especially the big ones, the antivirus program, McAfee or Norton. You want to get rid of those types of programs. So once you've uninstalled those, you should have freed up a fair amount of space. And without those programs running in the background, you won't have a performance hit. The other thing you want to do is empty your recycle bin. I know this sounds simple, but the more files that build up in there, the more disk space it takes, and the slower your computer will run. I also have far too many icons on my desktop. I don't have nearly as many as some people I see, but basically when you put an icon on your desktop, you are duplicating something that already exists on your computer. So just keep the essential ones there that you want easy access to. See, I don't have any of the Office or the Word ones because I don't use them all the time. And so I will just go to all the apps and I will find the one I need. Now, especially after uninstalling all these programs, or depending on how long your computer's been around, the next thing I recommend you do is you do a disk cleanup. Both Windows 10 and 11 have that built in. So let's bring this down so we can see it. Downloaded program files. Yeah, I want to get rid of those. Temporary internet files. I cleaned those out recently, so it's not a big problem. Delivery optimization files we can get rid of. It'll empty your recycle bin from here too. Thumbnails, yep, you want to get rid of those. Hit clean up system files and OK, and there it will clean up your hard disk. I've seen computers where people have tons and tons. Like, I don't know when the last time they cleaned out their download cache or their web browser was. And that's another big hit on performance. Now, another thing some people will tell you to do is to defragment your hard drive. With Windows 7 and older versions of Windows and older hard drives, this was very important. With SSDs and with the new versions of Windows, like 10 and 11, the technology's built into Windows that it keeps an eye on your hard drive and it will optimize your hard drive. So you can defrag your hard drive if you want to, but it's really not going to do much. Some companies will tell you to download certain programs, defragment and optimize drive. So here we go. 4 days since last. Okay, so I can optimize it, and it's going to run through the process really quickly. It's 4 days since it did it last. I hadn't told it to do it. It did it on its own. And I can see my other, which is a traditional hard disk, is 0% fragmented, so it doesn't need to be optimized. So, kind of long story short, what happens, especially with traditional hard disks, is as programs get installed and uninstalled, they write to different areas of the hard drive where they find free space, and then when something gets removed, they don't get put back together, they get left where they were. Think of it as a file drawer where files get put where there's space, and then files get removed, and the files are no longer in order, and they don't make any sense. So that's what defragmentation did, or does. Now, my last tip, and this should go without saying, but sadly it doesn't, is to keep your computer cool. That involves two things. One, if you're running a desktop, open it up, take a can of compressed air. You can get it at Walmart in the computer section there, or any computer store. You can order it from Amazon. It's not expensive. And you just want to spray out the inside of your computer to blow away the dust. Be careful. Don't hold the can upside down, or it freezes. Compressed air, when it expands, believe it or not, freezes. You can also blow out the vents on your laptop, but you're not going to have the same access as you do by being able to take off the side panel on a desktop. If your laptop's running a little bit hot, you can get a cooling pad. They're not expensive, and basically what they are is an additional fan that sits underneath your laptop and blows air into the laptop, and it assists your laptop's fans to keep the laptop cool. Which reminds me, if you're playing games on a laptop or pretty much doing anything on a laptop, don't smother it. If you're in bed, do not have it lying on the blankets because the air vents are usually on the bottom. And by having it on the blankets or a pillow or something like that, you will decrease the airflow. The hotter the PC gets, the more it will what's called thermal throttle, or slow itself down to try and keep itself cool. So, if you can, try and use a laptop tray or something like that. Like I said, the laptop cooling fans often double as a laptop tray and will allow much better airflow into our laptop. And one last thought. While I was recording this video, I did a Google search on how to boost or optimize your computer's performance, and I was hit with at least 10 different ads for programs all offering to do that for me. They want you to buy and install a program. Well, all this program is going to do really is do a lot of the things I just told you to do, and it's just going to add more bloatware or unnecessary programs to your computer, and 9 times out of 10 it will cost you money, even if they're offering you a free trial. So don't buy into that. I know Symantec is terrible for that sort of thing, as is McAfee. Stay well away. I hope you found these tips useful. I hope they improve your gameplay, and specifically for my Farming Simulator 22 users, I hope they speed up the performance of the game a little bit for you. If you have any questions or comments, sound off in the comments section. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. A thumbs up never hurt anyone. In the meantime, take care and have a great holiday season.